Okay, the recording is in progress. So, okay, if you're just listening to this recording, thank you for listening. We had a bit of a technical issue, so we're starting a couple minutes late today. And last week in our reading, we left off with Gopal Kumar, who's leaves Puri and then goes to actually Mathura. And that was inspired or instructed. He was instructed by the Lord within a dream. Now he goes to Vrindavan, he goes to Mathura Vrindavan, but interestingly, he doesn't experience the same rapture or the same ecstasy that he felt while in Puri, while taking darshan of Lord Jagannath. Yeah, so there in Vrindavan, there's no, well, there's deities there, but there's no specific worship that's done in great grandeur and reverence as in Jagannath Puri. So Gopal Kumar is not developed at this stage in a lot of the finer nuances or aspects of Krishna consciousness. So he doesn't really understand the significance of Vrindavan. Yep. And so where does he go next? Actually, yeah, I just remembered. Can anyone remember where he goes next? It's a question. Let's think back. I can give you a clue.
After Puri, you mean? Do you mean after Puri?
No, after Mathura. After Puri? No, he came from Puri, and he went to Mathura. And then in Mathura, he meets some sadhus, some sages, who, okay, I'm going to give it away now. My voice is coming back again. Anyway, he meets some sages who tell him about the worship that's conducted in the heavenly planets. Remember? Yes, we will not. Yeah, remember. So then he goes to the heavenly planets, and he goes specifically to the place of Lord Indra. Then he goes, and he's very much astounded and impressed by the worship that's done by the residents of the heavenly realm to the Supreme Lord in his different manifestations within the heavenly realms. And then Indra, he becomes entangled and he has to go into hiding. He has to go incognito. So then Indra has already taken quite a liking to Gopal Kumar and very much impressed with his with him, and so he makes him king of heaven. So now he's become the king of heaven. Yeah. So this is where we pick it up. Okay, let's have Mother Guy. You like to read, beginning text 27, and we'll begin our reading.
27. I don't think I ever read Brhad-Bhagavatamrta.
It's on the screen then.
Do I read the Sanskrit?
You don't have to. It's not. That's we won't. We'll save a bit of time because we've lost a bit of time in the.
Okay. Even while I ruled with complete authority by the potency of that devotional service, I dwelt in the Nandana forest in the same humble style in which I had always lived. Commentary. Despite wielding such absolute power and spiritual influence, Gopal Kumara did not become arrogant. Can you flip the page?
Sorry.
Remaining as simple-hearted as ever, he preferred to live away from the city rather than in Indra's palace or the Sudharma assembly hall. Should I continue?
Yeah, go on. We normally read a few verses each.
For fear of being ungrateful, I never gave up my japa, nor for a moment was I able to forget this Vrajabhumi. Commentary. From Gopal Kumar's point of view, the life of tending cows in Vrindavana was more attractive than any other circumstance, including residence in the Nandavana. As long as he continued chanting his mantra, this attitude could not be covered by illusion, because the natural effect of Sri Madana Gopala's mantra was to attract the heart to the Lord's sports in Vrindavana. Wanting to avoid being ungrateful, Gopal Kumara never stopped chanting. He might justify abandoning the mantra only after attaining its final goal. If he were to stop chanting before then, he would not discover the mantra's full benefits. Thus, to stop the chanting prematurely would amount to ingratitude, for without having bothered to receive all the mantra's benefits, how could he properly acknowledge them? I was tormented by the pain of separation from Raja, my face drying up. But when the Lord of the universe noticed this, he consoled me again and again with his fascinating nectarian words and the touch of his lotus hands. Commentary. Gopakumara was unable to forget Vrindavana, but this constant remembrance was painful for him. As if obliged to keep the etiquette for dealing with an elder brother, the Lord would directly accept and eat the food I gave him just to please me. Commentary. Gopakumara was sitting on Indra's throne only temporarily, and Lord Vamana was not his real brother. Nonetheless, the Lord was happy to accept Gopakumara's offerings in a brotherly mood. And so I would forget my distress. I would then show my affection by worshipping him lovingly in an unprecedented style, pampering him like my younger brother. Commentary. Lord Vavana, accepting offerings from his substitute brother, would sometimes touch Gopakumara's hands or show affection in other ways. In return, Gopakumara would touch the hands of Lord Vamana, the Lord of the universe, and embrace him. This was not improper because both their hearts were overflowing with ecstasy.
Yeah, I'm just trying to keep trying to follow this. So now it's revealed who Gopal Kumar is worshipping in the heavenly realms, or who the heavenly residents were worshipping. So it's particularly the place, the heavenly realm where Lord Vamana is present. But we just took note how he's missing Vrindavan. But I think he's missing the Vrindavan, which is manifest within his heart while chanting the Gopal mantra. He's very much that he is feeling separation from. So despite being in the heavenly realm, then as he would prefer to live in a simple place, and not in a palace, and be chanting his mantra because he didn't want to give up that mantra. So, just trying to follow it, just trying to keep track of his development as we go through this. Does that sound correct with everyone? Yeah. Chandravali Madhava, I've had to mute you while you're not speaking, so you have to unmute yourself because it's from you the echo is coming when I speak. So if you like to say something, I can think you're saying something. You have to unmute yourself. You have to press the button on your computer, which, it shows you're mute. Yeah, that's it. Now you're unmuted. You're mute. Yeah. We still can't hear you. Now you're muted again. Okay, looks like the Lord has muted. Okay, let's just continue. Okay, Mother Gail, you can read another couple more verses. Text 32. No, is that correct?
Yeah, I think I read this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. After restoring me to normal in this way, he would go back to his own place somewhere else. Thus, although I lived with Shriman Upendra, I was not always able to see him. Since Gopakumar was destined to enjoy even more of the Lord's mercy elsewhere, circumstances changed so that he became less interested in staying in Swargaloka. Lord Vamana had shown him various kinds of affection, protected him from false pride, allowed him to worship in grand opulence with all the riches of the three worlds, and empowered him to preach pure devotional service throughout those worlds. Thus, Lord Vamana had eased Gopakumar's distress. But after making Gopakumara happy and peaceful in these ways, the Lord went elsewhere, perhaps to Shvetadvipa or Dhruvaloka. Exactly where Gopakumar never knew. As the word Shriman here indicates, the Lord's consort Lakshmi accompanied him, and so Gopakumara was unable to see her either. Even though the Supreme Lord is all-pervading, when he was away from Svargaloka, Gopakumar could no longer see him. The Lord would return occasionally, but for Gopakumara that was not enough. And so the distress I felt would make me want to go back to see the Lord of Nilachala, whose affection for those who take shelter of him never wavers. Commentary. Gopakumara naturally wanted to lessen the pain he was feeling, and he thought that Lord Jagannath's love for his devotees was more certain than Lord Vishnu's in Swarga, because in Nilachala, Lord Jagannath is always visible. Jagannath's mercy is as firm as Mount Meru.
Yeah, perhaps we can just pause there. So I just remember this brings up an interesting discussion in the glories of the deity form of the Lord. Because, for example, the Lord appears as Lord Nrsingadev, he appears as Vamanadev, he appears as Lord Ram, but he appears for some times and displays his pastimes, even as Krishna, manifest on Boma, Vrindavan. But then he winds up his pastimes. They become apakrata, they become unmanifest. But when it comes to the deity, like, for example, Jagannath, that's what is explaining his mercy is as firm as Mount Meru, which means the Lord in his deity form is there for thousands, sometimes thousands of years, in order to accept the prayers and to give darshan to his devotees, as opposed to, say, we might say the appearance of Krishna himself. He came for some time and then he unmanifested his pastimes. So Gopakumara is appreciating this deity stroke the Lord. Well, the Lord is not different from his deity, but when he appears in the form of a deity, we can go see him, isn't it? Sometimes we've maybe feeling some separation from Krishna, maybe he's not manifesting, maybe in our service or in our rounds for one reason or another, but we can always go and take darshan, and Krishna is there. Okay, any questions or comments on that? Otherwise, we can call on. Let's just take it from top. Corner Mai, you'd like to read? Then we go Raj Kishore and then Angel.
Thank you.
Angelica.
Text 34.
Yes, text 44.
Still, when Vishnu would again become visible, his unique mercy in many forms would fill my heart with thoughts of him and dissolve all my mental pain, even the pain I might feel later when I could no longer see him. Commentary. Gopal Kumar could not simply leave heaven to come down on earth and Pushottam Kshetra.
But that's Jagannath Puri. Okay.
Because in Swarga he had special exchanges of love with Lord Vishnu, that with Lord Jagannath he had never known. Lord Vishnu, as Vamandev, accepted him as with his own hands what Gopkumar offered in worship. And the Lord displayed exceptional sweetness, enacted various charming pastimes, and spoke nectarian words to console his devotees. All this vanquished the mental pain Gopkumar felt within from not seeing the Lord and from remembering Vrajabhumi. Even the pain he might feel later at the inevitable departure of Lord Vishnu would be overshadowed by the joy from the association he was having now. Gopkumar also hoped that although Lord Vishnu might go away for a while, he would always return. Can I ask you a question here?
Yes, please.
What does Boma mean? Does that mean original?
Boma means earth,
Ah, okay.
Vrindavan. So that's when Krishna manifests his pastimes within the material world. Say, for example, 5,000 years ago, what happened to be planet Earth was chosen. So we're blessed because we happen to be on that same little planet, which Krishna came 5,000 years ago. Yeah. So Boma, earthly.
Okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
Text 35. O Brahmana, thus I lived in Swarga, ruling in the post of Indra, and happily spent one celestial year. Commentary. Indra's duties included the dispensing of rain, the propagation of sacrifices and other Vedic rituals, and maintenance and protection of the three planetary systems. For 1 year in measurement of Swargalok, equal to 360 years on earth, Gopal Kumar carried out these responsibilities. Text 36. Once some great sages arrived unexpectedly, headed by Brigu. Out of mercy, they were on their way to purify their feet, the holy places on earth, with their feet. Commentary. It was difficult to tell why these sages, headed by Brigu, Atri, Marichi, Angira, Pulaha, and Pulatsya, stopped at Swargalok on their way to earth. Moreover, before they arrived, Gopakumar had not even known that such sages exist. Although Marici, not Brigu, is the eldest of the 7 sons born from the mind of Brahma, here Gopakumar gives the first honor to Brigu because Brigu is a great Vaishnava and sometimes the father of the goddess Lakshmi. Brigu is often considered an empowered representative of the Supreme Lord, and he is mentioned as such by Sri Krishna himself in Bhagavad Gita 10:25. Maharishiyam Brigur Aham. Among the principal sages, I am Brigu. In the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 3:11-30, Maitreya Muni also mentions Brigu as the first of the sages. When devastation takes place due to the fire emanating from the mouth of Sankarshan, the great sages, headed by Brigu, transform themselves from Mahalok to Janalok, being distressed by the heat of the blazing fire that rages through the 3 worlds below. Why had these residents of a region higher than Swargalok now descended to heaven? They were traveling to earth to purify the Ganga and other holy places from the contamination brought about by the contact with sinful visitors. The sages wanted to sanctify the holy places on earth with the touch of their own feet, even though the sages, by the power of their influential words, could have sacrificed the earth without leaving Mahalok. The sight and touch of their feet would further benefit all the inhabitants of the earth. Text 37. With amazement, I looked on as all the demigods and celestial sages, and even their spiritual master and Lord Vishnu himself, worshipped those sages reverently. Commentary. The chief among the sages who offered respect was Narad. He, of course, showed respect to his elder brother Brigu. Lord Vishnu also honored the great sages led by Brigu. Because Lord Vishnu is Brahmanaya Deva, the Lord who has always served Brahmanas. Text 38. I was a new resident of Swarga, my heart distracted by the bliss of serving Lord Vishnu, so I failed to recognize the sages. But at the urging of my companions, I too worshipped them. Commentary. Despite occupying the post of Indra, Gopal Kumar at first neglected to come forward to worship his venerable guests because he did not know who they were. He wondered whether there were some demigods or devarishis of Swargalok he had not seen before, or visitors from other world. Gopal Kumar explains his own ignorance by calling himself a newcomer. Though he had already been living in Swarga for a year of the demigods, he had been too much absorbed in the joy of devotional service to Lord Vishnu to become interested in learning about anything else. Normally, devotional service bestows knowledge automatically, even upon devotees who are not inquisitive. But Gopal Kumar's case was special. As Sri Narad will explain at the end of the 5th chapter, Gopal Kumar, thanks to a special blessing from his spiritual master, remains forever naive about the ways of the world. Text 39. The sages greeted me with auspicious blessings and happily went on their way. At that moment, Lord Upendra also disappeared. I then inquired from the immortals of heaven. Commentary. Apparently, the sages visiting Mahalok felt no offense at being neglected by the cowherd Indra, since they happily offered him their blessings. But they moved on, and at the same time, Lord Vamana also disappeared. This was necessary for Gopal Kumar's benefit. In front of the Lord, he would have been unable to inquire about the sages, for in the Lord's presence, devotional etiquette forbids conversations that do not involve him. And as long as Lord Vamana was to be seen, Gopal Kumar, distracted by ecstasy, would have been unable to think about leaving Swargalok. Text 40. The demigods are worshipped by men, but who are those persons worshipped even by demigods? What makes them so great? Where do these effulgent persons live? Commentary. Gopal Kumar knew from his limited experience that a father, though honored by his son, still honors his own father. Thus he surmised that there must be some natural reason for the sages to be treated as superiors. Simply from their glowing appearance, he could understand that they must have come from somewhere above Swargalok. He wondered where they came from and whom they worshipped. He became curious to visit that place and to see their Lord. Text 41. Jealous and proud, the demigods were embarrassed to tell me, but our Guru then spoke. Commentary. Matsara, jealousy, means intolerance of another person's excellence. The demigods were jealous of the great sages and proud of their own positions, and in response to Gopal Kumar's questions, these two emotions give rise to embarrassment and silence. The exact words used here are Lajaya Jiva, as if ashamed, because these negative feelings were only a shadow of a gross envy and other such emotions felt on lower planets. Brihaspati, however, was more sober than the demigods, and his duty as Gopal Kumar's guru was to answer the reasonable questions of the disciple.
Okay, thank you, Madam Kunamai.
Thank you.
Let's just pause there. So, Brigupadi, Brigupadi, Brigu Muni, excuse me. He plays quite a role. We're familiar with that pastime where I think it's these sages that are mentioned, and all these sages that are mentioned, Pulascha, etc. They are actually extremely powerful sages. They are born of Lord Brahma, the firstborn sages. And that's the pastime where upon their birth, upon their appearance, they're not clear who is the supreme. Is it Shiva, is it Brahma, or is it Vishnu? And then we're familiar with the pastime that comes. Where Bhrigu Muni, yeah, someone can give us a brief description of the pastime that happens.
Well, they were deciding who was the best, Brahma, Shiva, or
That's it. Yeah. You
Vishnu.
can fill in a few more details, my Braj Kishore.
Well, when Bhrigu Muni went to Lord Shiva and offended him, Lord Shiva reacted very angrily. Then he went to Brahma, and Brahma also passionately, but he reacted. But
Yeah,
when
first he went to Brahma, and Brahma is his brother. No, is he brother or father? Did I get that right?
Brahma is a father.
Yeah, Brahma's the father. So he did not give any, he didn't bow down to Lord Brahma. So then Lord Brahma became very angry. Yeah, so he failed the test. So then he went to Lord Shiva, and then he wouldn't embrace Lord Shiva, who is his brother. And then Lord Shiva became very angry, and as with Brahma, he was pacified by his wife, and Lord Shiva, Parvati, pacified him before he before he attacked Bhrigu. So anyway, carry on, Marv. Just that detail. First he went to Brahma, then he went to Shiva, as far as I understand.
And
then
then
he goes.
third time he went to Vishnu.
Yeah.
At the time Vishnu was sleeping, and Lakshmi Devi was beside, sitting at his feet. And Bhrigu Muni came and found him. Why is he sleeping? I'll come here. And he kicked him on the chest.
Yes.
And Lord Vishnu stood up and he said, "Oh, is your foot all right? I'm so sorry I didn't get up."
Yeah, because my
Then-
chest is so hard. Please
Yes.
forgive my offenses. Please, your foot might have been hurt.
So humility, very nicely. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
well, the main thing is complete transcendence to the modes of material nature, completely situated in Suddha Sattva. Nothing could disturb Vishnu, as opposed to Lord Brahma, who was disturbed, and Lord Shiva, who was disturbed. Yeah, so here Bhrigu makes an appearance here in the Brhad-Bhagavatamrta. So I would think that this is happening because it described that Bhrigu is a great devotee of the Lord. So I'm sure this would have happened, this is taking place after he kicked Lord Vishnu. And then, as we know, that's why the Brahmanas generally keep themselves or find themselves often in a impoverished condition, because they was cursed by Lakshmi, yeah, which was a curse stroke blessing for a Brahmana. So this is Bhrigu Muni. So let's see what's going to be described now. Well, what is, because all the residents of the heavenly planets, and it's interesting to read this because generally we hear about the heavenly planets, and often it's a negative description, isn't it? Of the distraction from devotional service, and the opulence in the heavens can often cause distraction, etc., etc. But here we're hearing about the devotional aspect of the demigods, who are very devotional and worshipping the Lord. But here, let's see what these seems like the heavenly residents of heaven have great honor and respect for these sages, like in other words, that they are situated better than themselves. So there's like a slight, it is as if a shame, there's this described here, a little bit of envy there because of their exalted position. So Gopal Kumar's interest has been, he's now interested. Who are these sages? Please, can you tell us about them? So let's hear all about them. Maharaj Kishore, you could pick up at text 42.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Hare
So
Krishna.
Brihaspati said, "Above this realm shines the world called Maharlok, attainable through the best of the pious works. Even when the three worlds are annihilated, that world is not destroyed."
Oh yes, sorry. So this is what's going on. That's why, they're in the heavenly planets, and that's subjected to the annihilation of the cosmic manifestation. But these sages come from above the heavenly planets. That's why the residents of heaven have such awe and reverence, or have a sense of kind of envy for their position, because they come from realms higher than the heavenly planets. So now this is intrigued Gopal Kumar. Yeah, sorry, mother. Please continue.
Okay, commentary. As difficult as it is for ordinary mortals to enter heaven, the requirements for entering Maharlok are even more stringent. An aspirant must complete ritual sacrifices and yoga meditation of the lofty standard, uncorrupted by lower motives. Only then might he be accepted for elevation to Maharlok, which survives the dissolution of the three worlds, Bhur, Bhuva, and Swarg. Because most of the residents of Maharlok are candidates for liberation, the planet exists as long as that of Lord Brahma. Text 43. As the happiness of Indra is considered millions of times greater than that of a ruler on earth, the happiness of a Prajapati is millions of times greater than Indra's. Commentary. The sages living on Maharlok are the Prajapatis, the original forefathers of the population of the universe. They are the first authorities on the Vedic path of karma.
Yeah, and this is the sages that have been previously mentioned, one of which is Bhrigu Muni. He's considered to be, although second, although the brother is older, I forget the name, but these are the sages. Yeah, they are Prajapatis. Yes, continue, Mother Eli.
Endowed with such happiness, the Prajapatis live on Maharlok, enjoying the greatest pleasures and directly worshipping in various places of the Lord of the sacrifice, who is there in person as their master. Commentary. The Prajapatis leave Maharlok only occasionally when they have a specific reason to visit other planets. For worshipping the Supreme Lord with wonderful sacrifices, the Prajapati must have better resources than even those available in Swargalok. Text 45. Sri Gopal Kumar said, upon hearing this, I at once lost my attachment to the post of Indra and wanted to go see that Supreme Lord being worshipped by the great souls who are worshipped by those who are worshipped. Oh.
Yeah, worshipped by those who are worshipped.
Yeah.
Yes.
Commentary.
Yes.
Gopal Kumar had seen that compared to the worship of the Supreme Lord on earth, the worship of Swargalok is much more charming and opulent. And if Maharlok is worshipable by the residents of Swarga, the worship of the Lord on Maharlok must be still more glorious. To see Lord Vishnu being worshipped on Maharlok was certainly worth a trip.
I was just thinking, I was just thinking actually, the worship that we can offer the Lord. For instance, we're worshiping London Ishvara, and sometimes I often lament of the things that we have to worship him with. For example, we don't use real gold. We don't have, actually we have got some gold, but not much. We don't use diamonds, and we offer, we use steel plates, plastic containers, etc. I'm sure the Lord appreciates that we are worshiping him with what we do have here. But in comparison to the worship, we can just imagine the beauty of the paraphernalia and the opulence of the worship that he receives in the heavens and here going higher in Mahaloka. Must be astounding, just reflecting on that. For instance, I'm sure they got in Mahaloka, I'm sure their Pujari departments are quite bigger than our one.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have a Pujari department exactly. But anyway.
Surely, if we have gold and everything, gold and diamonds on the deities, there'll be thieves and we'll have to have somebody.
Yeah. So that in of itself says everything about the miserable place that we live. I mean, as if that would happen. Do you think, can you imagine that in the heavenly planets or Mahaloka? Someone's got to steal the jewelry that's been offered to the Lord. So this is a place where we are, where a place is full of, could we say, demons and envious people, atheistic people. So they, rather than worship the Lord, they will steal the jewelry from the Lord. And that's actually why Mother Rajkishore, that Prabhupada gave specific directions that it shouldn't be, that we should not dress the Lord in diamonds, and of course it's expensive as well because of thieves. I know every temple I know, most temples I've been to, they do have some gold, but normally it's kept locked away. But in general, we worship. I don't think we can even call it semi-precious. Although they call it semi-precious, it's just plastic. It's just glass. It's shiny glass. Anyway, the most important thing we can offer the Lord is devotion. Yeah. So we may not have all the paraphernalia, but the Lord is very happy with our devotion, with the mood by which we worship this paraphernalia, and that's pleasing to the Lord. Any
Okay.
comments or questions? Any comments on that? You're welcome. If not,
No.
continue
Shall I
reading.
start the next one?
Yes, you can.
I made this my intention and chanted my mantra, and soon a celestial aeroplane picked me up, and I
Wow.
found myself transported to Maharlok. Chanting his japa with a conscious desire, I want to see the Lord of sacrifice on Maharlok, soon brought Gopal Kumar to Rishi Bhrugu's abode on the Maharlok, where the sages had returned after finishing their short excursion. Text 47. Such happiness, opulence, and worship of the Lord is found nowhere in the three worlds. It's all there perfectly, indescribable in words. Commentary. The residents of Maharlok never quarreled among themselves, never suffer mundane miseries, and never fear the annihilation at the nightfall of Brahma. On Maharlok, rivalry and quarrel are non-existent because everyone worships the Supreme Lord without selfish motives, and therefore material assets are always on hand without deficiency or surplus. The conditions of such subtle, exclusive environment can hardly be described in words. They can be understood only by direct experience. Nonetheless, Srila Sanatana Goswami kindly gives us a rare glimpse into a world we otherwise know little about. Text 48. While the great sages endowed with pure devotion offered thousands of grand sacrifices, I saw the Lord of Sacrifice, the Supreme Controller, stand up brilliantly from amidst the fires of oblation and delight in his pastimes as the enjoyer of the sacrificial offerings. Commentary. The form of Lord Vishnu appearing from the sacrificial fires made an especially vivid impression on Gopal Kumar's mind. So he briefly describes that from that form in this and the following two verses. Bhrigu and his brothers are Nishkam Vaishnavas who have no other master than Lord Vishnu.
So we're familiar with that word from our Bhagavad Gita readings, isn't it? Nishkam means?
Yeah. Nishkam is without expecting anything in return.
Without material desires, yes. And Sakam means
Plenty
they
of
have,
desires.
yeah. So the demigods are known as Sakama Bhaktas. And that's why they're in the heavenly planets, because they have some desire to be in that situation. Although they are devoted to the Lord, they actually desire that opulent situation. So they're known as Sakam. But here we're hearing about the Nishkam Vaishnavas. And interesting, because of that, there is more opulence than what's in the heavenly planets. Yeah. Because of that selfless mood of devotion, then the opulences in this Mahaloka put into shadow the opulences in the heavenly realms. Yeah. So Nishkam and Shakam. Yes, any comments on that? Please, anyone, you please feel welcome. Otherwise, you can read on Rajakisha.
Therefore, the Lord reciprocated their worship by appearing in person on the sacrificial altar. He was Sfuran, glowing even more brilliantly than the ritual fires. Text 49. That Lord, sacrifice personified, radiant as millions of suns, his mighty form enchanting to the world, reached out his hands, accepted the charu offering, and granted the sacrificers pleasing benedictions. Commentary. This verse paints an even more vivid picture of Lord of Sacrifice. He is called the Lord of Sacrifice because it is he who through sacrifice receives worships. And the Vedic sacrifice or yagna include their physical ingredients and the mantras and rules for their performance emanate from him, holding in his hands the implements of sacrifice, including the struk and sruva ladles. He appears as sacrifice personified, as we find in Srimad Bhagavatam 3:13, 35 and 36 text. In the description of Yagna Varaha, the boar incarnation of the Lord, the various parts of the Lord's divine body symbolize all the aspects of Yagna. O Lord, your form is to be worshipped by performance of sacrifice, but souls who are simply miscreants are unable to see that form. All the Vedic hymns, Gayatri and others, are in the touch of your skin. In your bodily hairs is the kusha grass, in your eyes is a clarified butter, and in your forelegs are the 4 kinds of fruity wax. O Lord, in your tongue is a sruk, in your nostril is a sruva, and in your abdomen a plate for eating. In the holes of your ears is a cup called chamas. In your mouth is a Brahma plate. In your throat is a soma vessels, and in whatever you chew is oblation to the fire. When the Lord Vishnu appears on Maharlok as Yagneshwar, all the parts of his body are universally attractive. His head, mouth, neck, chest, arms, legs, and so on. As Gopal Kumar watched, the Lord playfully accepted the offering of charu, the standard oblation of rice, barley, dal, and butter, mixed and boiled in milk. Not even Lord Vaman on Swargalok was this attractive.
Okay, perhaps you can pause there. Any questions on this?
Well, all the questions, this is quite complicated.
Yes, but just try and picture, you know, we've all taken part in what we call it a fire yagna and an initiation ceremony. So what's being described here is the different instruments that are used in a fire yagna or an initiation ceremony. Like, for instance, you know, the shruk. The shruk is the as far as if I've got it correct, the shruk is the main spoon that is shaped like, it's actually a lot of them, some of them are shaped in the form of Vraha, his mouth, which you offer the final oblations at the end, called Purnahuti. You know, when we offer the banana, then the priest offers all the remaining ghee. That's called the Purnahuti. That's the final offering. And the shruva, that's another instrument that's used to designate or mark out the sacred lines within the yagna pita, I think. I can't remember all the details, but just, and there's a cup called chamasa. I don't know what that is exactly, and soma vessel. So to basically just picture it like that. So the Lord is appearing. Interesting how he's appearing from the yagna. Now the yagna would mean there's Agni. So he's appearing from the yagna pita, but he's appearing in person. Normally when we do yagna, the Lord appears in a form of Agni. But here, as we hear and described, he actually appears. Yeah. And that's why if you read, or if you try to read, it's quite detailed and very, very complicated, that all the details of sacrifice is taken very, very seriously in a lot of the Vedic scriptures. The timings, the actual position of the yagna itself, and the brahmanas taking part, because when all the ingredients and everything is in place, then the Lord makes his appearance. So as we know, the Lord makes his appearance through sacrifice. And it's very profound when the Lord makes his appearance. So therefore, the residents of these higher realms, they are always engaged in offering of sacrifice. So the reason I explain this, because we also do sacrifice. And our sacrifice is the chanting of the Mahamantra. So when that's done properly, and when it's done with faith, etc., then just as the Lord appears within the fire yagna here described in person, in the yagna done by the great sages in Mahaloka, then as we engage in chanting the Lord's holy name, he appears there. He appears within the lotus of our heart and our mind. He actually appears when it's done without offense. So it's just as, so in other words, just as they took the sacrifice they did it with great respect and great attention, we should have that same mood in regards to chanting the holy names of the Lord, either in kirtan. So when we gather for like bhajans or kirtan, we're actually, as my spiritual master often mentions at the beginning of these bhajans, it's not like a night out at a disco. It's not like for our entertainment. We are actually together. We are invoking the presence of the Lord. Yeah, and he will manifest. Okay, he might not have manifested Shakshat Darshan, where everyone can see, but everyone can experience him, those who are qualified. And if the majority of those taking part are pure devotees, yeah, they're purified and pure devotees, then the Lord will be happy to appear within everyone's mind and heart. Yeah, that's Sankirtan Yagna. So, Hare Krishna.
But Prabhu, when we chant, it's a Sankirtan Yagna, but there's no fire. We just chant. We don't have to light fire.
Yeah, that's because it's a different yagna in this age. We don't need fire. You just need to move your tongue. Because these yagnas, it's not possible in this age to perform these yagnas. There is no brahmanas qualified to manage to actually execute these yagnas. It's not possible in this age of Kali. Therefore, the yagna is the Mahamantra. And the result is even more actually, because rather than Vishnu, Krishna appears, Radharani appears, and all the residents of Vrindavan at the highest,
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's call them for the last few minutes. Anjali, you like to read? Your name is your hand is there for reading. You can just take us to the end. We've got 6 minutes. I think I need to move a verse. Are you there? Perhaps not, her hand's there, but perhaps she's not there in front of the computer, whatever it is.
That's Anupama, I think.
That's who?
Anupama Mataji, I think.
Okay. Anjali, I don't know, it's got Anjali Taneja. If you're there, you're
Prabhu, I'm here. Sorry, Prabhu, I'm here. I was wondering, how my name got mixed up, but not to worry. Okay, Prabhu, where
Okay.
were you reading from? Sorry. Text
this
50,
one,
yeah?
text 50.
Yep,
Hare
okay.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna. With words drenched in compassion, he gave me his own hand, the Mahaprasad of his remnants. Awestruck by the sight of him, out of sheer joy, I felt compelled to bow down. Commentary. Seeing the Lord of Sacrifice made Gopal Kumar more eager than ever to discover how he could serve the Lord in some personal way. In response to this enthusiasm, Lord Yagneshwara encouraged him even more by saying such things as, "My dear Gopal Kumar, please come here and accept my hospitality." But at Lord's abundant mercy, I attained an exceptional bliss I had never known before, and all my desires were fulfilled. Commentary. On earth and in heaven, Gopal Kumar had felt bliss in devotional service, but nothing like what he was relishing on Mahalok. Now, as never before, he was satisfying his deepest desires to see the Lord of the universe and share personal exchanges with him. Text 52. I wandered here and there in the company of the great compassionate sages, and in every dwelling I saw the Lord of the universe present in the same way. Commentary. No matter where Gopal Kumar went on Mahalok, he found everyone performing Vedic sacrifices and the Lord of the sacrifice appearing in order to eat the offerings. Text 53. Thinking myself fully successful in every respect, I happily took up residence on Mahalok. Once the great sages spoke to me as follows. Commentary. On Mahalok, not only was Lord Yagnavashra visible in every residence, but in each place his features were different. Now that Gopal Kumar was obtaining to his satisfaction the darshan of the Lord, along with generous amount of his mercy, Gopal Kumar felt that his life in general and his mantra japa in particular had reached fruition. Text 54. The great sages said, "O son of a cowherd Vyasa, we are offering you the Brahminical status natural for a resident of this planet. Please accept it at once." Commentary. Some Vaishya farm and
Vaishyas, yeah, Vaishya.
some Vaishyas farm and tend cows, and others do business. But according to the Dharma Shastras, they all belong to a twice-born class. In other words, Vaishyas along with Brahmanas and Kshatriyas receive Vedic initiation and education. But in Gopal Kumar's simple Govardhana village, the Vaishyas didn't maintain these Vedic standards, and so he remained illiterate and uninitiated into the Brahmana Gayatri. How then, when even as a Vaishya he wasn't properly initiated, could he become a Brahmana? It was possible because the powerful sages were offering him that status and emphatically asking him to accept it. They wanted him to change his external dress and behavior to conform with the way of life on Mahaloka.
Okay, let's see if he's going to agree to change his dress and conform to the way of life. In other words,
Shall I-
worshipping the Lord in great awe and reverence.
Shall I continue, Prabhu?
Yes, please do.
Text 55.
We've got
Become
3
one of
precious
the-
minutes left. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Hare
1
Krishna.
minute. Go on.
Become one of the exalted sages so that you too may worship with sacrifice this Lord of the universe, who for so long has been the desired goal of your heart. Sri Gopal Kumar said, hearing this, "O Brahmana, I thought I would be much happier staying a Vaishya, but then I could keep worshipping him, both the Supreme Lord and those Brahmanas, his devotees." Commentary. Gopal Kumar thought, if I become a Brahmana, I will lose the fortune of being a simple servant. Then I will be unable to humbly assist the Brahmana sages. But if I stay a Vaishya, to my heart's content, I can keep serving these Vaishnavas and their worshipable Lord, Yagnavashra. Text
Yeah, interesting
57.
points here. Yes. So this is his mood of humility. This is his simple-hearted mood of humility. He's quite happy as he is, but he's being offered a higher status. But that would mean you could say different things would be expected of him. So he wants to remain to serve the Brahmanas rather than be a Brahmana. So that's an interesting aspect of his humility. Interesting, perhaps we just finished it, it's hit 7, but you can imagine if someone may say that, the guru may offer you Brahman initiation, or you may be, someone may be asking you to take Brahman initiation, and then the devotee may say, actually, no, I want to be the servant of the Brahmanas. Please, I don't want second initiation. I don't want second initiation. Please, you bless me, I can serve them. I don't think we probably come across that so often. But this is Gopal Kumar, wonderful mood. Okay, let's pause there, and next Thursday we'll pick up from text 57. Okay, it's wonderful. So now he's gone from Loka, now he's in Mahaloka. Let's see how long he stays there. Okay. Okay, thank you everyone for joining us. Much appreciate your being with us for this reading, and have a wonderful Krishna conscious weekend, and look forward again to our readings next week. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you,
Praise
Prabhu.
Holy Prabhu ki.
Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you.
Hari Bol.
Hare
Hari
Krishna.
Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone.
Hari Ram, Hari Ram, Ram Ram.
Hare Hare.